Poussin devoted many paintings to the vagaries of life on earth, with its setbacks and tribulations, and to the dramatic moments when human fates are decided. Et in Arcadia Ego shows us young shepherds in a rural landscape positioned around a tomb and completely absorbed in calm contemplation of the inevitability of death and human mortality. It invites us as viewers to meditate on life and death. Et in Arcadia Ego does not set out to terrify us or to depress us. It encourages us to be like the shepherds, curious, thoughtful, composed. The origin of this idea of a tomb with the inscription Et in Arcadia Ego on it comes from literature, from the Eclogues of Virgil. And in the Renaissance period, it was revisited by the Italian poet Jacopo Sannazaro in his pastoral poem Arcadia. Arcadia is a real place in the Peloponnese Greece that was, in the Hellenistic era, a retreat for wealthy urban Athenians. Over time, Arcadia became mythologized as a beautiful, rural, unspoilt place where people lived simple, pastoral, but happy lives, and it's a popular location for mythological subjects like this in art. It's this mythic, idealized, utopian Arcadia that this image is set in, and that is referred to in the inscription on the tomb. The inscription on the tomb reads, Et in Arcadia Ego. This is translated as, I too lived in Arcadia. It's unclear who the I refers to. There are two different interpretations. The interpretation that's accepted amongst scholars today is that the I refers to death. Even in Arcadia, somewhere so utopian and idyllic, I, death, exist. Another interpretation, one that was particularly popular in the 18th and 19th centuries, is that the I refers to the person inside the tomb. It's as though the dead person inside the tomb speaks to the shepherds, telling them, I also lived in Arcadia. I also enjoyed the pleasures of the earth. This interpretation, that the deceased is speaking from the tomb, is consistent with Sannazzaro's pastoral poem Arcadia, that was published in 1504 and which includes the passage, Shepherds shall come, and they shall read on the beautiful square monument the inscription that chills my heart at all hours, that makes me strangle so much sorrow in my breast. I too lived in Arcadia where you now live. I too enjoyed the pleasures which you now enjoy. I too was hard-hearted where I should have been compassionate, and now I am dead and buried. This poem was widely popular in the 16th century, and for a long time it was considered to be the inspiration for Poussin's painting. To its contemporary, educated, wealthy audience, Poussin's painting would have immediately called to mind Virgil's Eclogue and or Sannazzaro's Arcadia, and the painting's message about the transience of life would have been immediately understood. In addition to there being popular texts on this theme, there were also other paintings of the same scene. The best known was by Guercino, painted in Venice in 1618. Guercino's version is much more dramatic than Poussin's. Two shepherds are surprised at having unexpectedly come across a tomb on which a skull sits above the inscription Et in Arcadia Ego. This is a forceful and terrifying confrontation with death, with horror emphasized by the presence of the mouse, the worm, and the fly that are in, on, and around that skull. The presence of the skull means this work carries a very clear message. It is a memento mori, which translated literally means remember you will die. Therefore, this image gives the viewer two very clear warnings. It's a warning against the mad desire for material riches at the expense of spiritual wealth, and it's a warning against a thoughtless enjoyment of pleasure, which is temporary, vanity, and empty. Although Guercino's version is much more dramatic than Poussin's, it's quite haunting, it's quite unpleasant. The symbolic reminder of the transience of life is actually intended to invigorate our lives, to clarify what choices we make. Poussin's version is much more contemplative, calm, and comforting. The four shepherds are arranged symmetrically either side of the tomb. One stands in deep contemplation, a second kneels as if reading the inscription for himself a second time, and a third discusses the meaning of the inscription with the female figure, perhaps a muse, on the far right, who gently rests her hand on his back. This is not a dramatic encounter with death. The figures are not caught unexpected by the tomb, like in Guercino's painting. These shepherds are absorbed in calm contemplation of mortality. There's a sense of sympathy, a mellow meditation on the past. The formal qualities of the work help engage the viewer to reflect, just like those shepherds. The simple and classical style, the symmetrical composition, idealized figures, the echo of ancient Greek and Roman friezes, the peaceful landscape with the setting sun, and the timeless quality of the work all invite our eyes to linger on the painting and invite our minds to reflect on our mortality and the vicissitudes of human life.